Here it is.
Hi, everybody. This is Kathy L. Murphy, the Pulpwood Queen at our very last Girlfriend Weekend. And we had some changes that were done to the program. Lisa C. was supposed to be this morning, but she's coming in this afternoon since she was in California, and that was quite early for her. So Barbara Davis, who's one of our books of the month, is stepping in. A little housekeeping stuff I want to talk about for the at the very beginning. Yesterday, when I did my um, opening thing. It was supposed to be 5 to 7. Somehow, when I was changing up, I had an author change, and I had an author that had to work uh, conflict. I had to change things up. I don't know what happened, but the 5 to 7 p.m. got left off, so everybody saw 7. And then I didn't put Central Standard Time. So people were signing on at all different times, but I didn't get any of the messages until after I was completely done with the video. So for all of you authors that did try to get on board and dressed up and did everything I asked you to do, my sincere apologies, but I'll tell you what I did. Amy Wallen made it on from California. So I talked to her about pie forever. And then I kept waiting to see if people were going to come on board. So I said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce every author book and who they are. And I went through and I showed them the pages for each month and read off all of your books so that everybody would know. Now, we're going to, when we do tonight, we'll let everybody introduce their books. At the award celebration, we'll let everybody be introduced and tell what their book is. There's going to be Apple opportunities. And because that was my mistake, if any of you would like me to do a personal, we'll do a different kind of recording. I'll tape a recording with us and put it up on the YouTube channel. For those of you that would like, just email me at thepulpwoodqueen.com because it's all about the authors for me. Books save me. I will do anything I possibly can for all of you. And I've always said if I died and was going to be buried on my tombstone, it would say in big letters, she tried. But evidently, I didn't try hard enough, and I'm a flawed queen. But before we start with Barbara, I'm going to tell one quick story. I thought, oh my God, everybody's going to think I'm ditzy. I'm getting senile. I've got so much going on, you guys. I've gone back to school. That's not it. It's just juggling too many balls all at the same time, and one got dropped. But I've always been this way, but I always get the job done. I'm not a quitter, and I will keep going until I get everything perfect. But I want to tell you the story about when Tawana was my executive director, because Tawana kept me in line. And I miss her every day. And I cried about her last night because where's my Tawana? Because I couldn't get things right. But one year at Girlfriend Weekend, it's been many years ago, we were at the convention center in Jefferson. And we finished the day in the middle of Girlfriend Weekend. And I went to look for the keys that were on my wrist to lock up the convention center, and there were no keys. And I said, oh my God, I've set them down. They're in my purse. I look at my purse, there's no keys. I go, Tawana, I've got a problem. She goes, what now? Did you lose your phone again? I said, no, I've lost the keys to the convention center. Now it's after midnight, maybe 1:30 in the morning. And we cannot leave the convention center without locking the building. So we looked for hours. I don't even know how long we looked, and we couldn't find them. And I mean, we looked everywhere we could think of. And I thought maybe somebody picked them up. So I tried to get a hold of the person who gave me the keys, no answer. And we're just at the wit's end. And Tawana goes, I'm going to go one more time up on the stage and look. And hanging off the back of the throne chair was my stretchy wrist bracelet with all the keys. So, Tawana, if you're listening up there in heaven in the library in the skies, know I miss you and that I'm doing it all by myself with my lovely friend Barbara Dean, who ran back home to get my 2024 list, which is just a minute away, and the lunch I left in the refrigerator. So, it's a group effort, and I thank you all for your sincere understanding, and my apologies. there's nothing in the world I won't do to promote you. So I'm here for you. But right now I'm here for Barbara Davis, who is a sweetheart for stepping in. And I'm going to be in conversation with her. So we're going to introduce Barbara. We're going to introduce you. I want you to show your book. Do you have it there? And are you off mute? All right, there's her book. And what I want everybody to do while she's talking is to mute themselves, and then I'll open it up at the end so you guys can all ask questions. So I'm going to turn it to speaker view so that we can get a better look at the beautiful Barbara Davis and this gorgeous home. Is that your Christmas tree?
Yes, I'm ashamed to say it is. I'm on deadline. So that baby's going to be up until the 31st of January. After I hit send, that's my first job, is to take that
I
down.
one time left my tree up after a girlfriend weekend till Easter. So I just kept taking things off of it and putting Valentine's and Mardi Gras decorations. And I finally took down the Easter egg tree in March. So, but I took mine down the day after Christmas this year. So thank you for being here. Tell us about, first of all, this wonderful book that is getting a lot of attention. Show it again to everybody. And I'm going to take a picture too. I always forget to take pictures. So, oh, wait a minute. Let me get back to, there we go. Oh, that's beautiful. I also am going to have Barbara plug in my phone because I don't know what's going dead. I mean, the other Barbara, because I've got Barbara Dean here with me. So tell us about your book, first of all, for those that have not read it, and then we'll begin that conversation.
So the Echo of Old Books is sort of it's a genre mashup, like most of my books. None of my books seem to know what they want to be when they grow up, because I love all books. I love all genres, and I love to write in all genres. So I sort of mash them all up. So the best way to describe Echo of Old Books is it's sort of a historical romantic whodunit. It's a story of a woman who she owns a rare bookstore, and she stumbles upon these two books that are beautifully bound. They look exactly alike, but there's no author name, there's no publisher, there's no copyright date, there's no sign of where these books came from, how they came into the world. So she's sort of starts sleuthing about where these books came from. And she has a gift. She has the gift of being able to hold a book and sort of read the feelings that have kind of rubbed off on a book of the previous owner. So she's getting all these vibes off of these two books. And there's a lot of anger and a lot of bitterness. And these two books she comes to realize, are written by two different people. One is a man, one is a woman. And these books are talking to each other. It's sort of like reading a lover's quarrel on paper. And it is basically them blaming the other one for this doomed relationship. And Rory is determined to or Ashlyn, sorry, wrong book. Ashlyn is determined to get to the bottom of who wrote these books, what happened to them, because it's sort of the books are left open-ended. She doesn't know, how it finally fell apart and why it finally fell apart. So she kind of launches on this mission to track down who these people were. It's been 45 years. So she has no idea if she can uncover who wrote these books, because they use pet names. So it's sort of her sleuthing to find this. And she stumbles onto some pretty intense secrets as all this is unfolding. And she winds up meeting a hunky guy in the process. So like I said, a little bit of something for everybody. Oh, you're on mute, babe.
Yeah. I turned it on mute because sometimes you get a little reverb, but the one thing about your books is that they're so engaging, such page turners, and you've gotten some awards for this book and a lot of attention. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, it's gone to #1 on Amazon, and made the top 50 of USA Today. So I'm really proud of that.
Wow.
And I've had, you know, I've won a couple of awards, and it's just been really well received. It's such a different book because it's basically 2 books inside of a book. So it was like writing 3 books, and it, bar none, is the hardest book that I've ever written. And about halfway through, I was pretty sure this book was going to ruin my career because I didn't know if I could make it work. You know, and that's what the buzz is everybody's like, I've never read a book like this. I didn't know this could work. And somehow, bless the muses, that it did work. And I've just fallen in love with the characters. So I'm happy for them that there's all 4 of their stories got to be told.
That's great. So if you love them that much, do you think there might be another book, a series, or you want to go on to something
Not
else?
really. Things are wrapped up pretty nice and tight at the ends of my books. I like to put a nice bow on it, you know, and I give you an epilogue so you can see how all of the pieces wrap up. So I kind of doubt it. And right now I'm 15 days from pushing send on book 9, which is called Precious and Fragile Things, which is a completely different book. It's about a death doula with some pretty startling secrets. So again, something I've never done. It's a very different kind of book. And then I'm getting ready to launch into book 10, which is called The House at Bitter End, which may have a bit of a time twisting element to it.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, so the next 2 are kind of, you know, planned out, and I don't know what happens after that, what I'll do after that one.
Well, you're a member with Marilyn of the Blue Sky Writers Group, which is just a plethora of amazing authors. And I will speak out to all of them. Get me your books because, I can't pick a book unless I read it. So I'm so thankful that you were brought to my attention. And I know Marilyn Simon Rothstein is always singing your praises. And tell everybody a little bit about that group because it's a wonderful author group.
Blue Sky Book Chat is it's a Facebook group, and there's I think we're up to about 5,300 members now, and there are 8 of us authors, and we just take turns sharing each other's books, sharing books that we love. You know, that we do lots of giveaways, lots of games, lots of book related topics, and then we also touch on, you know, what just life issues, especially for women, and, you know, women of a certain age. We all tend to be going through a lot of the same things. So there's a lot of sharing and bonding and stuff. And we do a monthly newsletter where, you know, there's always, you know, an article or 2 about, you know, life and how things happen. And just, it's a very inclusive group. And it's just been so much fun. When I first was approached, I was like, I don't know if I have time to do this. And honestly, they have been such a blessing to have the support of those other authors and then all of these wonderful readers. It's just been, it's so great. I mean, I've made so many friends, you know, personal friends through the group. It's been great.
I think the first time you came to Girlfriend Weekend was the time that I had done Susan Peterson's hair during your panel, which is, I think, one of the most iconic, Marilyn was there, one of the most iconic and memorable panels that we've ever done. And unfortunately on Zoom, I can't do any hair. So we'll have to think about that a little bit. But what was your first impression when you jumped on board, Barbara, for that crazy moment in time?
It was overwhelming, but in a great way. It was so wonderful to be with so many people I mean, the whole reason that they were there was books and to support authors, share authors that they love, meet authors that they love. And it was just such a warm feeling. And then I got to meet so many authors that I had never gotten to meet in person before. And I you know, sit and talk with them, and I came home with a ton of books. So I had to pack them up and try to get them in the suitcase to fly home. But I just loved it. It was so much fun, and it was such a, if you will excuse the expression, let your hair down kind of a thing, not stuffy, and you go to a lot of conventions, and there's a lot of, putting on that people do. And this wasn't like that. This was like, you just were yourself, and everybody was themselves, and it was great. It was really great.
I have to be myself because I'm a flawed individual. Okay. I come from a very small town in Kansas. I learned marketing just by talking, and, and I make mistakes all the time. So, I just want everybody to know that I wanted to go to a book festival that was real and not literary and pretentious. And I've been to just about every one when I went on book tour. I think 27 stops in 10 states throughout the South, and I've been everywhere. And I will tell you that I go, well, what do you do for fun? You speak at these things and then they turn you loose and you like go back to your room, or you go to a panel and
Go
you
to the
don't know
bar.
anybody. I want everybody to know each other. So introducing Barbara Davis, you guys, she is an author to watch, as all of you are. And for all of our readers out there, I'm going to tell you, this is the best list this year I think that I've ever done, and it's perfect because it's going to be my last girlfriend weekend. You'll see what I'm doing at the end of the program, so I hope everybody stays on board. So Barbara, so what is your advice to an author in this ever-changing world? Because are you going to be able to come to Jeffrey's panel?
I will make myself available for that,
Because I want you to tell, we won't do it now because I don't want to take up valuable time, but when you guys hear what happened to her, I want you all to be very aware of this AI and how content is being taken from New York Times bestselling authors and authors everywhere. But the whole thing about Girlfriend Weekend is that everybody's on the same playing field, whether you're a Barbara Davis or, a first-time author that's never even been to a book festival. We've had lots of those. And some of them, Julie Cantrell, I'll never forget her first year. I think she cried. She was so nervous. And now look at her. She is just like world famous. So it's really exciting. We've got so many great authors here today. But Barbara, this is, if anybody's a first-time author or first-time attendee of Girlfriend Weekend, what would be your advice to, besides the writing process, what would be your advice to these writers out there on things you need to do? Because you're a very organized person. You were telling me earlier about some of your regime and about checking on prices and things. What are some things, maybe some tips that you could pass on to the newbies?
You really have to be vigilant, because what happened to me, and we'll save that for the other meeting. But I found it by accident. I wasn't looking to see if somebody was borrowing my books or anything. I was looking for a completely other reason. I was putting together a marketing piece, and I popped on, and boom, I find this thing purely by accident. So now I'm very vigilant. I check. I mean, just go in and Google your name, Google your books, and you'll be stunned. If you're not already doing this, you'll be stunned at how many times you can go on YouTube and someone is on there doing the whole audio of your book for free. It's out there and it's free. Or you can just download this book. Just click this button and download this book. And that's, in this business, you get paid a tiny bit of money for each book. So every book counts.
Right.
So when they start siphoning off those clicks, it matters. And it also swallows up your visibility as an author. I am lucky enough to be with a publisher who all I have to do is send them the link and they send a cease and desist. So I don't have to do all of that. But protect yourself, watch what's out there. with your name on it, because you'll be surprised at what's got your name on it, some of which is stuff you've never heard of. Covers you've never seen before. It's very, I mean, they're very creative and they're very persistent. So you have to, it's as unpleasant as it is to go and find those things. I highly recommend that you periodically, like maybe every 2 weeks, just get on and look and see if somebody's monkeying around with your intellectual property, because that's just wrong. That's a crime. It is a crime.
You know, coming from Kansas, I'm a very trusting person. And so I believe in the good in everybody. And then sometimes you get blindsided. And I've been blindsided 4 times actually, with the Pulpwood Queens, of people stealing content. And it's very expensive to have cease and desist letters go out and have your property stolen from you. So, you know, my next book, which is going to be Kathy L. Murphy Goes Back to School, not the Pulpwood Queen, because I'm retiring after this year. I'm going to be talking about some of those things vaguely without using names, but you have to be very vigilant, and you have to understand that if somebody takes something from you and it's their word against your word, and unless you get everything in writing, which I'm really bad, was really bad about that. No more. My attorney gave me a harsh reality check. So, and Catherine Casey actually helped me get my attorney with Writers Guild, and I love him very much, Cameron Straker. So I've had to use him way too much the past time during COVID. And I've gone very silent about it, but because of the cease and desist. But you guys be careful. And thank you for bringing it up, Barbara, because, you know, when we spend this much amount of time, I don't know how long you take on your books, but my book took me 6 years, you know, to write, and to have a book being generated every 15 minutes using your words or content from, you know, all the New York Times bestselling authors of that genre. In 15 minutes is the scariest thing I've ever seen in my life. You'll hear about it from Jeffrey. And so if any of you have any thing you would like to talk about for AI, please join Jeffrey's panel, because I think it's something that you have to be vigilant about. And also the fact that Zoom has now gone all AI. So this is going to be my last Zoom. I'm not using it anymore. They're, because they can take your content, and unfortunately, they don't always do the best things with it. So, and also, you've got these 2 new books. So you're going to have another book in 2025.
I will have a book in 25 and in 26. Yes.
I definitely want to see those books.
I generally do a book a year to a book a year and a half, depending on how long. The next one is coming out a little later. Precious and Fragile Things is coming out in February of 2025, because I had some health things, family health things that I had to deal with. So I had to ask for the first time ever, I had to ask for an extension, which I hated to do, but there's no way I could have finished this book, you know, going through all that. So I bit the bullet. So it's going to come out a little later. And then the one after that will come out about a year, because, you know, things have leveled off now. So.
I think that's, your process must be very, you must be a very organized person, because I don't even know how you do that.
I am a pantser.
You're what?
I am not a pantser. I am a plotter. I know exactly where I'm going, hopefully, mostly every day, because otherwise I would lose my mind. And when I try, it's like, oh, I can be a pantser now. I'm good enough at this. No, I'm not. I have to have a plan. So,
Could I follow up with a question on that? Barbara, I'm really curious. Number one, what was the spark behind the Echo of Old Books? And number two, you said you weren't sure if you could pull it off. You could make it work. What got you to make it work? When did you know you could make it work?
Well, this spark, I never know. You know, it's the most common question we always get is, where do you get your ideas? And I have to honestly say, I don't know. They land on me like it just falls out of the sky all at once, lands on me, and I know exactly what I want to do, exactly who the characters are, exactly how I want it to come out. And all I have to do is figure out the middle, which is, of course, for all of us, is that's the saggy, scary middle part.
Yeah.
So it just comes to me fully formed, and then I set out and I try to plot it out very like scene by scene, front to back. But because this book, I literally had to make these two books talk to each other like a conversation, like a question is asked and then it's answered in the next chapter, and that, or it's a point is made and it's refuted in the next chapter. And it's very hard to sustain that. And these two very different voices talking about the same thing. So it was a lot. And honestly, trial and error, trying to find the voices that worked, and because my biggest challenge was for it to not be repetitive. These two people are talking. One chapter is this guy talking about how they met. Then the next chapter is the woman talking about how they met. So it's a challenge to make those two chapters talk about the same thing and sound completely different, so the reader isn't falling asleep. So that was very hard, and it came from just repeatedly like stepping in their shoes and finding their voice and finding their anger. I tried to channel it more about what they were feeling than what necessarily was happening. So there wasn't a lot of repetitiveness, but Lord have mercy, I would never do it again. I don't think I would ever try this again. My husband said, you're crazy. You cannot do that. That's not gonna so.
Well, that's fascinating. I mean, do you read out the dialogue out loud?
I read almost everything out loud. I'm a person with, I'm a musical person. I grew up in music theater. So I have sort of this metronome in my head constantly when I write, and I write to a certain cadence. And so I need to hear the sentences out loud to know if it's like a math equation for me. If I go to a 3-syllable word over here, that changes the beginning phrase of the sentence. I've got to pull something out so it balances. So, and I'm constantly doing that. So that's why I write like 12 hours a day, because I'm so anal about that. It's my little quirk.
Wow. 12 hours a day, huh? Every day?
About 6 days a week. I mean, right now it's probably more because I'm on deadline, but I love what I do. I mean, it's like my favorite thing, other than, spending time with my hubby. It's my favorite thing. So it is work, but it's not. And I mean, when you get into this part of it, where you're down to 2 weeks and you still have 3,000 words you have to find to cut, then it's work. Then it's like, you feel like, you're in there with a machete, just hacking your way through the jungle. But for the most part, it feels like a hobby.
Wow. Well, unfortunately, we're running out of time. If we want to continue this conversation, or if you have more things you want to say, Barbara, if you'll post it on the Pulpwood Queen Presents page on Facebook or on the official International Pulpwood Queen page, we can keep the conversation going. But where is the best way to get your books? And if they wanted an autograph copy or anything, where will you send them?
Okay. Best way to get my books is still Amazon. Best prices, fastest service. I know a lot of people don't like Amazon, but I mean, you can order them anywhere. But if you want a signed copy, the best way to do that is contact me first so I know it's coming. Order it from Amazon, drop ship it to my house, and then I'll sign it and I'll send it back to you on my dime. So if that's something that you want to do, just contact me. Well, you have to, because you need my address, and I, don't give that out freely. Right. But if that's something you want to do, you can just drop ship it to me. I'll autograph it or, sign it however you want, and then I'll send it back.
Also, email me too, because I've got autographs for most of these authors. So I could drop a signed autograph bookplate in the mail to you too. So email me at thepulpwoodqueen@gmail.com. But we've got to go because we've got another author coming up, and I keep losing my spot. So next up is at, what time is it? We have Deborah Rodriguez coming in from Mexico. So she's going to be at 10:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. Barbara, thank you for filling in. And it's wonderful that you were able to do this, because you are a book of the month, and we are really thrilled. And we're going to be talking more about your books at throughout the weekend. So thank you, everybody. You have to sign out now and sign back into the next Zoom link. Thank you so much, and for bearing with me. But so far, so good. So everybody, here we go to the next session. I'll see you in a few, okay?
Later.
Thank you. Big kiss, Barbara.
Back at you.